Hello, hello, hello! Welcome one and all. Welcome to Drawing Expressions, streaming live here on YouTube, and also welcome to everyone who's picking this up on the replay. Today is the 20th of October. Perfect day for a nice coffee. If you're in Thailand, anyway. Yeah. So, welcome. Let's just kind of dive right in. So, a couple of things before we dive in. First off, Alicia is monitoring chat. So please chime in, say hi, let her know you're there. Let me know you're there. It'd be kind of cool to know. Or say hi in the comments if you watch this on the replay. Okay. Now we're gonna go through our usual stuff as we get ready to get going. Okay, so things to know, and this is the live stream where guidelines rule and rules are guidelines, and never shall they. That just didn't work out, did it? Guidelines bend, they don't break. Rules break. And, well, Halloween has a lot of breaky things and mysterious noises in the night. Our writing should not be doing that. It can reflect it, it can evoke it, but yeah, we don't want to have our writing dependent on rules. It's guidelines. Okay. Moving on to the class structure. We do have the two types, the planners and the pantsers. And so in the planner section today, we will be working with a bit of a Halloween theme, and the same next week. And in the pantser section, we're going to talk about the art of observing. So stay tuned. And one more thing to mention before we get moving on: our free, open, creative art, creative writing time, free expressions. Come hang out. It's just a grand old time to have an art date with yourself. Okay, let us get into our breathing and our stretching, get our minds and our bodies ready to do some creative writing. Okay, so we're gonna do some square breathing, and I'm gonna invite you to join me. If you have never square breathed before, because you haven't watched any of my videos, we're gonna inhale for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5, hold for 5. So let me invite you to join. Here we go. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in, a little bit of a back stretch. I love my little back stretches on an inhale. And exhale. Good. That feels good. Okay. Let us just kind of get right into what we're going to be doing today in the planner section. So I'm just going to come back over to here. So, yeah, it is the 20th of October, the 19th, if you happen to be in North America. So we are approaching Halloween, or Samhain, if you are of if you celebrate Samhain. So anyways, we have some similar themes, some commonalities that can come up with these celebrations. And so today, what I want to focus on is sort of a the writing down of a memory or some sort of recollection of like a Halloween, whether you experienced it or maybe like your kids experienced it or relative, some type of thing like that. Next week will be scary stories. But this week, we're going for the recollection, the memory. So let's come over to here and get my notes to show up. There we go. So the prompt today, again, Halloween. And the exercise, where do your thoughts go for a story? And I wrote this before I decided it was going to be in 2 bits. So it's scary or scary memory. And we're going to observe and scribe. So this week is the memory piece. And it can be a scary memory, right? It's because that is all part of Halloween, scary and tense and ghosts and monsters and all that good stuff. So think about where your thoughts go when you think about an event that maybe happened or is related to Halloween, Samhain, or any of the sort of harvesty types, harvest festivals that come up. Oh, Oktoberfest, right? If you happen to be of an Oktoberfest person. Entirely different thing, right? It's just drink a lot of beer and you celebrate the harvest, but that's okay too, because this is guideline. You don't have to use Halloween as your prompt. You can use whatever it is that you'd like. Okay, so take a moment and give her a thought. I'm going to have another sip of coffee, and then we'll get rolling. Okay. Alrighty then. So let's do this. So I'm going to get myself set up, and I'll start writing my personal recollection. And I invite you to join me. If you don't want to listen to me yammer and think out loud, I will come back to the breathe and stretch screen after we are done, excuse me, with this particular section. And then we'll move on to the how to observe better. Okay, so let me just get my page set up. And yeah, that is the right size. Good. Excellent. Okay, bring my writing. It's funny. It's just to mention it real quick. I've got this huge table upon which I place this tiny keyboard. Just thought I'd mention it. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to have my word up here just to help me gather my thoughts and where my mind wants to go to. So the where my mind goes is I've lived in different parts of the world, and so I've been kind of lucky in that. And Halloween in Vancouver, the Vancouver area of Canada, is very different than where, well, not very different, but it's different enough that that's what comes to mind as my Halloween memory. And I'm going to do my best to inform you, the readers and the watchers here, what it was like, what it is like to have Halloween in the Vancouver area. And this is going to come from what I remember the day being. And so let's just start off with October 31, Halloween. It has never really been one of my favorite holidays. I'm not all into the dressing up and whatnot. And so I'm going to just come out and admit that. Right? Has never been one of my favorite. I'm going to try put the U in there for the Canadians, but it's okay. One of my favorite holidays. Let's see now here. I was never. Let's take the dash out. Let's put it in a semicolon. There we go. I was never into the dressing up and pretending to be someone else, someone or something else. On any day, let alone this particular day. But as capital, but as a Halloween observer and parent of kids who were into it, there the events of a holiday in Vancouver are something else. Okay. So remember here, I'm not just trying to put my memory onto the page, but I'm also trying to engage anyone who happens to read this, right? So I'm trying to capture attention. I'm trying to direct people into what it is that I'm trying to do. Okay. So I think I've kind of set this up. It might be a little bit wordy on edit. I would probably go back, clean it up a little bit, but we're just going to proceed right along. Okay. My first Halloween in Vancouver was foggy. I don't know how it was that fog ended up. Let's see here. What I'm trying to say is that not only did the day was foggy, my first one, it was thick fog. I mean, thick fog. And not only did it happen that Halloween, but it happened several Halloweens in a row. And like, there's no fog anywhere in the area on the days before or on the days after. And somehow fog is there on the day. Weird, but it's true. Now, so I don't know how, it was that fog was in the area on October 31. So just try and change it up, not say Halloween repeatedly, because it wasn't there before or after, but it was a thick stew of vapor. Tried for the U again. A thick stew of vapor while as here we go, as it started to get dark. Okay, so it's starting to get dark. Now, as it starts to get dark, we know that that's when the trick-or-treaters start to come out. As the sun went down, the kids came out, going door to door. There we go, going door to door. Going door to door, looking for treats, right? Because we know it's trick or treat. Okay, going door to door, looking for treats. And somewhere in all this is when the fireworks began in earnest. And yeah, and that is what makes Halloween in Vancouver so special. The fireworks. So reds, blues, yellows, all the colors of the rainbow. Exploded not writhing. Good word for Halloween though. Within the fog. Lighting it up as if it were a colored, a full colored moon. And the kids walked up and down streets with, just move that up a little bit. Come on. Come on. Okay. With all this going on, it was like a filmmaker was putting together a movie that combined Dawn of the Dead, and a war movie. It was fantastic, creepy, and a lot of fun. So let's see in here. I could close it there. But I'm gonna put in just a bit more. My favorite part of the holiday was keeping the jack-o'-lanterns, jack-o'-lanterns lit with tea candles. They glowed an orange color that simply can't be matched. I'm just having a heck of a time typing today. Simply can't be matched. For someone who really didn't like Halloween, it was a wonderful way to spend the day. Watching, handing out candy, and keeping the lanterns lit. There we go. Okay, so let's just sort of revisit this and see what we've got. We've just sort of put it down here. So, October 31, Halloween has never been one of my favorite holidays. I was never into the dressing up and pretending to be someone or something else on any day, let alone this particular day. But as a Halloween observer and parent of kids who were into it, the events of the holiday in Vancouver are something else. My first Halloween in Vancouver was foggy. I don't know how it was that fog was in the area on October 31st because it wasn't there before or after, but it was a thick stew of vapor as it started to get dark. As the sun went down, the kids came out going door to door looking for treats. And somewhere in all this is when the fireworks began in earnest. Reds, blues, yellows, all the colors of the rainbow exploded within the fog, lighting it up as if it were a full-colored moon. I'm just going to put a dash in there. And the kids walked up and down the streets with all this going on. It was like a filmmaker was putting together a movie that combined Dawn of the Dead and a war movie. It was fantastic, creepy, and a lot of fun. My favorite part of the holiday was keeping the jack-o'-lanterns lit with tea candles. They glowed an orange color that simply can't be matched. For someone who really didn't like Halloween, it was a wonderful way to spend the day, watching, handing out candy, and keeping the lanterns lit. And so there we go. There is my telling of the events of Halloween. Now, this is more of a tell, right? Now, I have done in the past the importance of showing, right? Can we show? Because this feels, I mean, it tells the events, and so I've scribed things accurately. So how would we maybe make this more engaging? How could I draw you in as the reader better? Let's see now here. Let's see now here. So I said I tell you that it's foggy. And I do say that it's a thick stew of vapor, so I am showing that it's foggy. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I might change it up a little bit if I was to spend some more time thinking about it and considering the words that I'm using. So as the sun went down, the kids came out, going door to door looking for treats. Again, this is a total tell sentence, but I'm going to keep it in there. I think finding a way to do show, it would require me to actually, like really work with the thought. And I'm going to really kind of press into this as we get into the second half of this class. So I'll come back to it. We'll see if I've after this first pass, if I still have time. So summer in all this is when the fireworks began in earnest. Reds, blues, yellows, all the colors of the rainbow exploded within the fog, lighting it up as if it were a full-colored moon. And the kids walked up and down the streets while this was going on. Okay. So here I'm just going to make a little bit of a tweak. So the kids walked up and down the streets nonchalantly. Nonchalantly. Let's see if I can spell it right. Oops. Nonchalantly. Thank you, spell check. Like it was absolutely normal. Which for them, it was. But for someone experiencing it for the first time, let's see now here. Now I could say came as a shock. That's more tell. Let's see if I can maybe come up with some better words. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to combine this thought with the next thought through, right? So I'm talking about the filmmaker. So I'm just going to, whoops, pull that out. It was as if a filmmaker. There we go. So I think that helps to take out a little bit of the tell and puts in a little bit more of the show, right? So I'm using some language that just evokes. Okay. And then I get into okay, it was fantastic, creepy, and a lot of fun. My favorite part of the holiday was keeping the jack-o'-lanterns lit with tea candles. With tea candles. Marking a, let's let's see here. Marking. I want to say something about how I was delineating our house as being a house you can come to for candy, as opposed to other houses that have their lights off, and just basically saying, you don't come here. We're not open for business. So marking a, not a safe haven, but a candy laden haven for all the goblins and other undead looking to fill their bags, their treat bags. Oh, actually, that was nice. I like that. So their treat bags. Treasure popped up with the spell check with treasure. So I like that. I'm going to put the treasure in there. So they glowed an orange color that simply can't be matched. For someone who really didn't like Halloween, it was a wonderful way to spend the day, watching, handing out candy, and keeping the lanterns lit. Okay, so this is a telling and a little bit of a show about what it was like. Now, I still have lots and lots of time, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this again. This time, I want to use something that is far more devoted towards the feeling. Like feeling comes first, and then structure comes second. Okay? So I'm just going to give myself a little bit of space and give myself I just 5 asterisks across the line. That just always gives me some clear space. So actually, I'll just move that up. There we go. So prose poetry is something I've been playing with. So let's just kind of try some prose poetry. Right? So it's using poetic language within paragraphs and prose structure, and see where that goes. Okay. So I'm going to start off with Merc. And apparently Merc is, Merc, I think is you. There we go. Merc. Yeah, let's, here. Picture windows filled with dismal gray with dark dismal gray. Let's see now here as the doorbell starts. Let's see now here as the doorbell starts. I'm going to say something about how the doorbell is going to be ringing throughout the evening, right? So you're constantly having to go to the door. Starts it's incessant ringing. Monsters approach and walk away, satisfied with the fare they found. There we go. Monsters approach and walk away satisfied with the fare they found. Overhead, screams. Whoops. Let's get all that stuff out of there. Overhead screams of let's see, so fireworks. We know they're fireworks. Okay, so we want to have, or we have like a Halloween type of word. So screams of color exploding into smeared rainbows. Lighting the night into creepy day. Let's see now here. House lights fight against the drear. Not dreary, just drear. House lights fight against the drear. Let's see now here. And we're just gonna leave it there. House lights fight against the drear. Okay, murk. Picture windows filled with dark, dismal gray as the doorbell starts its incessant ringing. Monsters approach and walk away satisfied with the fare they've found. They've put in just a bit of a tense change. And let's put in they've. Overhead screams of color exploding into smeared rainbows, lighting the night into creepy day. House lights fight against the drear. Wave after wave of undead. Let's see now here. So we've got monsters, we've got undead. Until the night quiets. Until the night quiets and the loot is counted safely within the safely within safely because of Halloween, right? Does evoke some danger. You know, getting away from the creep, getting away from all this stuff, safely within the warmth of the home. And you know here, and for some, bedtime with bellies, maybe bellies bursting with sugar. I'm gonna go back to treasure again. Treasure. Sugary treasure. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Murk. Picture windows filled with a dark, dismal gray as the doorbell starts its incessant ringing. Monsters approach and walk away satisfied with the fare they've found. Overhead screams of color exploding into smeared rainbows, lighting the night into creepy day. House lights fight against the drear, wave after wave of undead, until the night quiets and the loot is counted safely within the warmth of the home, and for some, bedtime with bellies bursting with sugary treasure. I like that. It could use some work, you know, some bit of work in edit, but I'm very much, I enjoy this more than the other. And why? Because this paints a better picture, I think. This doesn't really tell the events of the day. Doesn't really tell you much of anything about Vancouver and Halloween. But it does give, I think, a much better feel for the holiday in general, right? So if you wanted details, the first one. If you wanted more of a feeling of just stuff, this second one. And so I think at this point, I'm going to leave off and just leave these here for now. And yeah, so let's just kind of come back to talking to the room. Get my giant platform out of the way with my tiny little keyboard. Yeah, so how did that go for you? How did that go? Oops, all out of coffee. So I'll grab water in just a second. So yeah, throw it into the comments. Let me know how things went. Maybe even share your story there. Meanwhile, we're going to come over here to the breathe and stretch and just sort of let this go away. And we're going to move into the next part of the class. Okay, so breathing in and stretch. Ooh, crackety crack. Shake a little bit. There we go. Writing's hard, right? Because you're hunched over and kind of look like a little writing monster yourself. So it's always good to kind of get that back stretched, and relax it up a little bit. Okay, so let's come back to the room. Hi, I'm back. And I hope you're back from doing your writing exercise. And I'm just going to move my notes down to where I've got my notes written. Okay. So, answer time. And let's talk about the art of observing. And for this, actually, I'm going to reference a couple of folks, which are probably not household names, certainly not, people who you would think of as being writers. These are going to be rock stars. So what I want to do is sort of, bring some of what they think into the process and then comment on it and see if we can all come up with better ways to immerse ourselves in our observation. So first off, why is this important? Actually, before I get to that, I am getting a little parched. So I'll get my big old thing of water out. That helps. Okay. So why is this important? There's, in the way that I've presented my process for creative writing, you have observing, and then you have scribing, right, which is taking your idea and getting it down onto as an initial pass on paper or your digital pad, whatever, but just getting it down so you can work with it, and then you edit and you get it into the form that you would like. Okay. So in that process, what is the most important process? They're all important. Which one's the most important? And you might think that, well, the most important thing is the technical skill of taking your idea and turning it into something that a reader is going to enjoy. So the editing process. And I agree, editing is important. But I think the most important part is actually observing your idea and really understanding what the idea is, what it can become. And so the better you're able to observe, the better idea you're going to have for actually scribing things down, and then you're going to have better material when it comes time to edit your work and then make it into something that you're happy with. So the observing is the most important thing, which is now when I bring in Bruce Dickinson. So Bruce Dickinson is the lead singer for Iron Maiden. And in an interview recently, he was saying that when he writes his lyrics, the way he writes them is he tries to immerse himself into the experience that he is writing about. He really, really, really wants to experience that. So as someone who heard that, and I was like, that makes sense to me. I really like that. So what we're trying to do is we don't want to tell about an experience. We want to share the experience, right? We want to evoke the experience. That is why I think a piece of that prose poem is just so powerful. Why? Because it feels like you're in it, as opposed to you're being told about it, which is what happened with the first one, right? And so when you're able to sit and even imagine yourself within an experience, and to relate that, telling it just from that raw personal observation point and getting that down onto the page. Wow. I mean, there's just so much difference. So that's one piece of it. Now I'm going to bring in another name, Marty Friedman, and he is a guitar virtuoso. And so his take on things is that he says, look, there are creatives everywhere. For him, it's guitarists, but you can generalize it to creatives, writers. And he says, okay, look, you've got all these people who are just technically great. What really matters is what the audience feels. And so it doesn't matter if you can play clean and can play fast. It doesn't matter for writers how well how big your vocabulary is, or whatever. It's what you leave your audience feeling. So I'm going to bring in a couple of things here. So one is, again, what was the difference between that first piece I wrote and the second piece I wrote? Because the second piece, for me, evokes my, when I'm reading it, I'm just like, wow, okay, that brings me in. So I've satisfied Marty's criteria. I've engaged the audience and I've made you feel. Now, the first one may have been written perfectly fine and dandy, right? The second one, actually, I broke grammar rules all over the place. And so, technically speaking, according to the rules of prose, it's not as good, but it's the one that evokes the feeling more. And so that, to me, is the important bit in here. So those are the two things that I wanted to refer to. Oh, so the last thing is, when you are observing, take your time observing. There is no rush. Observing can be hard, right? It can occupy your mind. When I was writing what was the piece? It was one of the Moss Piglet submissions. It was the poem that I wrote, a building of sorts, I think I called it. 1 second. So, a building of sorts. And that just wouldn't let me go for a week. And so constantly observing, and then scribing, and then editing, and then going back and observing again. And so, like, observing doesn't even necessarily happen once, right? It's a continual thing, right? As you observe, and then you write stuff down, and then you're forming it into your piece. What happens now? Well, you're going to re-observe and see how do I feel now? And because things will change, right? As you make one change, other things are going to want to change or morph or whatever. Maybe because of grammar, or maybe just because of the feeling is altering. And so that's all part of the process as well. Okay, so observing is a continual process. It is not a one-off. And you want to engage the audience. And I would say engage the audience far more than making sure that your grammar is correct. Okay, so with that, I've still got some time left. So let's see now here. What can we do on this idea of immersion? Let's do this. I am going to call up my working page. And let's see now here, and writing thing back on. So the idea I want to do right now, actually, I'm just going to give myself a little bit of space. Here we go. So let's just think about something, anything, maybe even just the present moment. Actually, let's do that, the present moment. What are you experiencing right now? What does your body feel? What are you thinking about? What's your emotional state? Are there things that are just sort of niggling at you? All these little things. Pay attention to what your body is telling you. Pay attention to what your emotions are telling you. Pay attention to everything. Okay, and we're going to try and write that down. And in this way, we're going to try and improve our observation skills just of this present moment. Okay, and we can even kind of work through like maybe a little bit of a checklist, like checking off through our senses, right? We've done this before, checking off through our senses. What are we seeing, hearing, feeling, right? So we can do that sort of like on a bodily thing. And then what are we feeling? What are we thinking? So what I'm going to do is just highlight for right now. So I'm watching myself type. Because yeah, actually in the process of recording and doing this live stream, the one thing that's on my screen big is me, and so I can see what all is, you know, on this being televised, if you will. What's being live streamed. So I'm watching myself type. So that's an observation. I'm feeling my feet on the floor and my butt in the seat, and the fan gently blowing on my face. So I've got a fan just like right there. Thailand, gotta have one, even if it is, you know, towards the end of October. Okay, so that's what I'm feeling right now. What other observations do we have? I'm, you know, here. I'm thinking about thinking. And that's a little bit, but that is true. It's what's going on. Thinking and writing and hoping I'm making sense. What else am I observing just in this present moment? I can hear the neighbors going about their day, and I'm grateful that the landscaping I can hear isn't so close as to show up on the live stream. At least I hope that's the case. Yeah, and I can go on, right? So this, I think, is it's a sort of it's a start, right? Just a start of getting your observing going. So actually here, I'm going to put a little bit of a break in. Now let's imagine ourselves somewhere else. Now we've done imagination, you know, observings of, like, you know, a favorite place. We actually did one right now, right, with Halloween and thinking about that. So actually, let's do that. Let's go back to Halloween and that memory and thinking about the immersion of ourselves into that experience. Let's revisit that and just maybe write a quick paragraph about Halloween, that Halloween memory. So here we go. Let's see now here. Now I'm not going to do this as a prose poem. I'm going to try to do this as straight prose. Let's see now here. The fog was the thing that the fog was the thing. The fog was the factor that made my first Halloween in Vancouver. It was thick. And almost unnatural. Unnatural in unnatural. Let's see here. Let's have it in. It's in texture. Let's put semicolon. So we're going to have a bit of an explanatory. Said that right? Sentence that comes after this. It seemed to grip onto the figures as they made their way on the curbsides. It made mysterious what was ordinarily well known. And made and took everything out of focus. It transmuted. Here we go. Transmuted the firework light show erupting from every house along the every house in the neighborhood. From every house in the neighborhood. It cloaked it cloaked everything in a some sort of, I'm looking for like a creepy kind of texture. Cloaked everything in a miasma. Because normally you don't normally think of actually, miasma. I love that word. It's a good word. Cloaked everything in a miasma that was more actually in a miasma that felt like a cloak. Okay, actually, well, it cloaked everything. So why do we have that as a cloak? It cloaked everything in a miasma. Leave it at that. Anything else we want to put in here? And I loved it. There we go. Okay. The fog was the factor that made my first Halloween in Vancouver. It was thick and almost unnatural in texture. It seemed to grip onto the figures as they made their way along the curbsides. It made mysterious what was ordinarily well known and took everything out of focus. It transmuted the fireworks light show that erupting from every house in the neighborhood, and it cloaked everything in a miasma. And I loved it. That, I like that. That is a better telling, better showing of the the holiday than I managed in that first example. And that, I think, is where we're going to leave it. So, and I just wrote that without having shared my screen. God, that's just funny. Okay, I'm just gonna share it up real quick. Oh my gosh, that is hysterical. Normally I'm really good about putting it up, and I forgot today. Okay, so here we go. There's the first bit and the second bit. I'm just gonna get the cursor out of the way. So go ahead and give them a read. I have read them to you already, but in case you wanted to read it through. Okay, there we go. And with that, let's come back to where I was before, talking to the room. So with that, I want to close things up and get this out of the way. And to do that, let's first begin with our drawing expressions haiku. So a creative space, holistically supportive. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please. Let's see now here. And then the hashtags and links. If you're going to share on social media, there is your tag. If you want to get a hold of us, there it is as well. Go through our Linktree. It has all of the updated links to all of the stuff that is that's going on. And yeah, so that is the thing. So let me just come back to here and just thank you so much for spending your hour with me, spending your creative time. And I hope to see you next week, where again, we're going to do Halloween-esque themes and play around with some scary stories. So with that, thank you so much, and I will see you next time.